Welcome to those of you who are just joining us. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to sign on and then we'll go ahead and get started. So just hang tight. Welcome for those of you who are just joining us. We're going to give everyone a chance to get logged on, or most people a chance to get logged on. So we'll start in a few minutes. So in the meantime, just hang tight. Okay, we're going to give it another minute or so, see if anyone else logs on, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, I think I'll go ahead and get started. Greetings and hi to everyone who hasn't met me before. I'm Hilary Godwin and Dean of the UW School of Public Health. Welcome to our bi-weekly webinar. The webinar is usually about COVID-19 and the universities and schools' response to the pandemic. But we sometimes flex for special topics, and today is one of those days when we are flexing. I also want to acknowledge that today is the first day of autumn quarter classes. So welcome back, everyone. I know it's a hectic day and an exciting day for people, but I appreciate you taking time out of that busy day to join us and talk about lessons learned from the SPH Self-Study. So before we get started, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that even though we're meeting by Zoom, many of us from the comfort of our own homes, we are doing so on Indigenous lands. I'm actually on Suquamish territory today, but in general, most of us are right now in the land of the Coast Salish people, the Suquamish, Tulalip, Duwamish, and Muckleshoot nations. And we thank them for being guests on their land and honor the people who are still among us and the wonderful job that they have done for generations as stewards of this land. These webinars are designed to keep our community informed and connected as we work and study remotely. While anyone's welcome to watch or take part, I do remind you that the guidance that I offer and that our panelists offer during the Q&A is specifically for student, staff, and faculty with primary appointments in the School of Public Health. So if you are primary in another school or another organization and you hear something that I say and you're like, hey, I wonder if that applies to me, then you should check with your supervisor or your primary employer to find out whether or not that's the case for you as well. A bit of housekeeping. As a reminder, we do not use the chat box for these webinars. We use the Q&A function, and we don't use the hand raising function either. So if you have questions, please go ahead and put it into the Q&A window, and we will endeavor to answer those questions at the end. unless there's something really pressing or important that needs to be addressed right away, in which case, like an administrative issue like, hey, I can't hear you, that should go into that chat box. In terms of our topic for today, as I mentioned, our special topic is lessons learned from our self-study. And that's because every 7 years, the school conducts an extensive evaluation with input from students, staff, faculty, alumni, and other stakeholders as part of our re-accreditation process from the Council on Education and Public Health. And we have just submitted our self-study, which is this humongous document that summarizes everything that we learned from that process with the review committee that we submit to the review committee and CEPH, which is the Council on Education and Public Health. And so we thought it would be helpful to share with you guys what we learned from doing the self-study this year and some opportunities for improvement, and to give you guys a heads up about what to expect during the virtual site visit that we will be having with folks from CEPH and the reviewers that come from other schools of public health that will be scheduled for October 28th to 30th. So we will not be offering updates on COVID-19 today, except to note that we have another really sobering milestone. The number of deaths globally from COVID-19 has now passed 1 million, with the United States accounting for more than 1/5 of those fatalities. And as always, our hearts go out to those of you who have lost loved ones or who are struggling with COVID-19. I also just wanted to make a little space to say, in a year that has been crazy and unpredictable, this week has been another one of those weeks. And so although many of us are excited about the beginning of the new school year and looking forward to the change, I know this is yet another challenging week with a lot of ups and downs. And, you know, some of those have been in the form of executive orders that go to, that cut deep against our own values and priorities. A really divisive presidential debate last night. And I just wanted to take this moment for us all to have a moment of togetherness, to say that we are not letting those external distractions keep us away from the things that we really care about and that are important. And it is at times like these when I feel particularly humbled and grateful to be in this school, to be surrounded by people who have such great priorities, who are working on really important problems, not just COVID-19 problems, but working on social determinants of health, helping to deal with the wildfires, the smoke from which is supposed to come back again later in the week, the people who are working on really critical social justice issues and social inequities that contribute to health inequities in our country and dig out the roots of those, including racism. I am humbled by all of you, grateful for all the work that you do, and we continue to be here to support you. And if you have challenges that you need assistance with, please don't hesitate to reach out to us as well. So I just take a little moment of silence and appreciation for the great work that you guys are doing. I guess I should be smiling about that. Sorry, that was a solemn look, but a happy smile. I really appreciate all you guys. Okay, so I also wanted to welcome, I have some great people as panelists on the webinar with us today who will be able to answer some questions at the end. The first is Carrie Farquhar, who's our Vice Dean for Education and a Professor of Global Health, Medicine, and Epidemiology, who you guys have met before. Someone that many of you know, but new people to our school may not. Shirley Beresford, who's Professor Emeritus and our former Senior Associate Dean, who spent just an enormous amount of time guiding our work on the self-study, and to whom we are incredibly grateful. Kimberly Hay, who is Manager of Strategic Initiatives for the school and shepherded the entire process of completing the self-study, and to whom we are all extremely grateful. It's hard for me to show you the report because of the virtual background. It sort of disappears into the foreground, but this incredibly massive report with a huge number of supplemental files. Oh, Shirley looks like she's going to show you. Yay. So, and also Juanita Ricks, who's Director of Student and Academic Services, and is here to answer questions in case any of our new students have questions today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started and share my slides with all of you about the results of the self-study. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A box. Okay, share screen. All right, hopefully everybody can see these. For those of you that I can actually hear, can you give me a thumb? Oops, okay, I need to make this, fix the size of the screen because otherwise, all right, hold on just a second. Looks like I'm chopping off part of my slides, so give me just a second. There we go. Is that better? Can you guys see? Thumbs up. Okay, great. So as you will see, oh, I forgot to mention too, down in the bottom corner, we are also launching into our 50th year as a school. So you'll see some of the branding around that. That branding is all available up on our website for you guys to use, free of charge, of course. We appreciate you using it. I did want to give a shout out that we will have our next webinar will actually be dedicated to talking about the 50th year and some of the associated activities with that, and that will be on October 21st. Normally our next webinar would be October 14th, but that date is actually when the Washington State Public Health Association meeting is being held. And the time of our webinar is actually when our amazing Secretary of Health, John Weisman, is going to be giving a talk. So encourage all of you guys to log on for that, and we will see you again on the 21st. I'll remind you about that again at the end. Okay, so what is accreditation? So turns out that accreditation is something that we do across all sorts of different levels within academia. At the university level, we get accredited by a body that covers the entire Northwest region of the United States and academic institutions within our region. At the school level, as I mentioned, we get accredited by the Council on Education for Public Health. And then we have individual programs within our school that are also accredited, and I've listed those here. And so today I'm just talking about the school level accreditation, but I wanted to give a shout out to, we actually do have a bunch of programs that work on program level accreditations. And right now we're working on self-study for, I believe, the CAMI accreditation. So that's also a huge lift. Okay, so one question I frequently get from faculty, particularly when they realize how much work accreditation is and what a heavy lift it is for all of us, is why do we bother doing this? And I think that the most obvious answer is prestige. There's prestige associated with being an accredited school of public health. But then you ask her the question of like, why did schools of public health decide to create this this hurdle for themselves way back when? And the reason for that is to achieve some level of standardization for degree programs. So with the idea that if you are interviewing for a job and you say, I have a degree from an accredited school of public health, that your employer knows that there are some really basic things that you that they know that you will know, or skills they know you will have by virtue of being a graduate of an accredited school. The other reason for it is to encourage ourselves to do regular assessment and evaluation at a school and programmatic level, and to use that, the data that we collect to inform our decision-making for continuous improvement. The CEPH, Council on Education and Public Health accreditation, happens every 7 years, and it's a requirement of membership to the Association of Schools and Programs in Public Health, which is really important to us. Through our ASPPH membership, we get access to really important connections to other schools and programs, not just in the United States, but worldwide. For those of us who are in leadership positions, it's an opportunity to get together with our colleagues in the same positions at other institutions and to share challenges and best practices. We get to benchmark to other schools, so we are required to submit data annually to ASPPH and CEPH, and through that association get to see other people's data as well. We get really important access to students, not just because of, so we don't currently use SOPHUS, although we're planning to transition to using SOPHUS, but students, we get marketing basically through ASPPH about public health and get students who are directed to us. And then probably even more importantly, although nothing's more important than students, we get new ideas about how to think about how we educate our students, how we manage change, and really get insights into new perspectives that challenge us to be even better. So that's why we bother with it. That being said, it is a huge lift. I think it's worth looking also at sort of like what is CEPH? Why were they created? They're separate from ASPPH because so they used to be that what was then ASPH did the accrediting process, and all of a sudden they realized it doesn't really make sense for us to accredit ourselves as schools. So CEPH was created as an auxiliary separate unit that can sort of be independent, but is aligned with ASPPH. And the goals of CEPH are obviously to promote quality in public health education, both through standardization and also through this continuing process of self-evaluation by schools and programs, to assure the public that the institutions that offer instruction in public health have been evaluated and judged to meet those standards, and again to encourage this thorough periodic review and to require us, not just encourage us, to consult with critical stakeholders, to conduct research, and through other publications to improve the quality of education in public health. And when I think about sort of why we bother with accreditation, I always think back to the essential public health services or health services model, which so strongly embodies what we're about in public health. We're a data-driven field where we care about evidence-based decision-making, and we really care about doing continuous assessment and evaluation to inform the way that we structure our programs and policies, but also to check and see whether or not we're accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish. And that's true whether it's a program that we're developing in collaboration with a local health jurisdiction to try and make sure that we're doing work that helps to promote health equity in the communities that we serve. But it's also true for the programs that we run internally in our school and the way that we educate our students. And so this is really this self-evaluation process is really a critical part of us walking the walk and actually doing the things that we know are part of best practices in public health within our own organization. So one thing to realize, just in case the faculty are like, it seems like it gets harder and harder and CEPH requires us to do more and more. The answer is, you're right. That over time, the CEPH criteria have become more and more complicated. So back in 2005, the criteria that CEPH set were from terms of their impact on faculty. One of the biggest ones was that at that point, accreditations during that cycle between 2005 and 2011 were that every syllabus had to include learning objectives. And then we had new criteria released in 2011, and it required that all programs have competencies. At that point, we were encouraged to develop our own competencies based upon what the needs of our students and employers were, and that we had to link the learning objectives for our individual classes and our individual classes to those competencies. We transitioned as a community to new criteria in 2016. And under those new criteria, which are the ones that we're currently being accredited under, required that we not only have all our syllabi having learning objectives and that courses explicitly link to the competencies for different programs, but also that that we actually have to, for the MPH programs, use core competencies that are standard for all schools of public health, for all MPH programs. So that's a shift. It's a big shift. We used to define them ourselves. Now we have to use theirs, although we also have to have some that we develop ourselves. So it was a big shift in terms of how do we make sure that we're now in compliance with those new foundational knowledge areas and competencies that are standardized across the country. And there were additional requirements set aside for non-public health degrees addressing foundational public health knowledge areas. And from an individual faculty perspective, one of the things you probably noticed is that in addition to having to have learning objectives and links to programmatic competencies in your syllabi, that we actually at the program level need to explain to CEPH how we are assessing whether our students are actually meeting those competencies. And so that's been a big heavy lift in this process, and we're super thankful to all of you who are engaged in helping to develop that. So if your sense was it's been a lot of work, you were right, it was a lot of work. So this is my one slide that encapsulates all the huge thank yous to all of you guys who contributed to this. It wasn't just about preparing the self-study, it was also making sure that our programs and our syllabi and our courses all were aligned with the new competencies. So just with it, so anyone who was teaching was involved in that, but specifically in terms of getting that translated into the literally over 100 tables of data that we had to compile for the self-study. We had 131 faculty contribute, 59 staff, and 38 students. And so I just want to take a moment to thank you. It's been a huge heavy lift and we appreciate it. That resulted in that report that Shirley showed you that is over 400 pages. And besides the hard copy, there's over 1,300 electronic resource files that are additional files of reference. So I mentioned most of these folks in the beginning of the call, but I want to give special thanks again to Kimberly, Shirley, Juanita, Carrie, and India Ornelas, who is our new MPH Core Director, because the transitioning our MPH Core classes so that they are aligned with the new CEPH MPH competencies and foundational knowledge areas was a huge multi-year lift for our school and for most schools. And India is been directing the incredible crew of people that has finally launched this new integrated core this fall quarter. So this process started way before I came to the School of Public Health. There had been actually a couple different rounds of really intensive work trying to figure out how we would change our MPH Core classes, or whether we would change our MPH Core classes to come into compliance with the new CEPH criteria. I want to give a shout out to Bill Daniel and to Steve Schwartz, who headed up those initiatives before I was here, and Annette Fitzpatrick, who worked on them as well. When I came, Steve was just wrapping up the recommendations from the 2017-18 MPH re-envisioning, and Carrie Farquhar at that point, who was not Vice Dean, but who was of course a faculty member in Global Health, Epi, and Medicine at that point. She took the lead with Shirley Beresford to work with the committee that developed the new Common Core finalized curriculum and get it adopted by our school. So that was 2 years ago. Last year, during the academic year, was spent doing detailed course planning, again led by India in partnership with Carrie, and all of the fantastic faculty who have been part of that. So we, again, just this fall, launched our new MPH Integrated Core that consists of these 6 new classes. Just as a reminder for people, this is instead of, for instance, the Intro to Epi, Intro to Biostats, Intro to Environmental Health, that we have these core classes instead. The classes are all team taught so each class has 2 instructors from different departments. The instructors across the entire curriculum for the whole year have worked as a team to really connect with each other, develop great case studies, to pick up new pedagogical techniques, to focus on active learning. So it's super exciting, and today's the exciting day that it launches. So huge thanks to all of them. Okay, so that, I would say, like from a timing perspective, probably made up the bulk of what we were doing up until the last year or so. But in the last year or so, then Shirley and Kimberly have been leading these groups who have been also compiling all of the data that we needed for this self-study report. So I wanted to share some of the data that came out of that. One of them is just to share an update in terms of our enrollment by degree type and home. This is enrollment data as of spring 2020. And really an important thing to point out here, particularly for those of you who've been in the school for a long time, is that at this point, almost half of our students, so first of all, we have over 1,500 students enrolled in the school, and almost half of them are bachelor students. That's a big transition for us over the last 10 years. So I just wanted to call that out. And then also, not surprisingly, because our 2 biggest bachelor's degrees, the Public Health Global Health degree and the new Nutrition, Food Systems, and Health degree, are school-wide degrees. So not surprisingly, the majority of the students who are in our school are in school-wide degrees. To me, one of the things that's been baffling since I got here has been the sheer number of different degree programs that we offer. And so for me, this was a great opportunity to sort of like slice and dice and see, like, where are we? Because it's been changing a little bit. So we have now 4 undergraduate degrees, and the color coding here is what CEPH categorizes as public health degrees versus non-public health degrees. So purple is public health. So we have 4 undergraduate degrees with over 800 students in them. In terms of our master's programs, we have a total of over 580 students in 32 different master's degrees, 15 of which are different MPH degrees. And then at the doctoral level, we have 276 students as of spring in 10 different doctoral programs. I want to tell you a little bit about the MPH options because we're down a little bit. We've been doing some consolidating as a result of going through this process of coming into compliance with the new SIER criteria. We are now down to 3 degrees each in DEOHS and EPI, 2 different degrees, MPH degrees in global health, 4 in health services, and 3 at the school level, although the OMPH, or online MPH, is managed in the Department of Health Services. I did want to specifically call out the OMPH. We used to call this the EMPH, and we just officially changed the title to Online Masters of Public Health Program. We are this year making a big investment in that program, and it's a big lift for health services to both revamp the curriculum to be consistent with the new MPH Core, and also to increase our reach with that program and increase the cohort size. So we have a record size cohort this year and expect that program to grow over the next couple of years as well. We also have 14 different MS options, which are listed here, which is a lot. And as I said, 10 different PhD degrees split pretty evenly across the school. Okay, so some statistics from data that we gathered. One that we're really proud of is that, so CEPH has a requirement that 70% of bachelor's and master's students complete their degree by what's designated as the maximum time to degree, and that 60% of doctoral students do so. Just to clarify, maximum time to degree is not the normative time to degree. It's the time that we say you have this much time, and after that point you'd have to like reapply and go through a bunch of paperwork. So for undergrads, that's 3 years. For our master's programs, that's 6 years. And for our doctoral programs, that's 10 years. Really good news that we are way above the minimum percent set by CEPH and have 87 to 88% for each of those different categories of programs. So that's really fantastic. I also plotted out graduations by what I would call typical time to degree. These are what we sort of advertise as being what people expect the time to in the program to be. For our bachelor's degrees and our MPH degree, those are at 69%, which is great. Our MS program slightly lower at 62%, and our PhD program, you know, we sort of talk about it as being 5 years. Over half of our students graduate within 5 years. And also, as part of CEPH, we collect data on what percentage of our graduates are employed after 1 year. These are data that are the average of the last 3 cohorts. CEPH has a minimum requirement that in order to be an accredited school or program, that you have to have at least 70% of your graduates employed after 1 year after graduation. And you can see from this summary that we are consistently well above that. That being said, I think I show on this next slide, these are our response rates for the data that were shown there. So the numerator, denominators in those are not all of our students, but all the students who responded to the survey. And you can see that it's pretty variable from degree to degree what percentage of students we get responding to the surveys. So we have a lot of missing data, including our other master's programs who have a fantastic response rate and do a great job of collecting data. They didn't collect data one of the years, and so so I didn't ding them for that, but just so that you know, it's not complete. Why do I bring this up? Because you'll see me talking about this again later on, that this is a real opportunity for improvement for us, for a school that really prides itself on making evidence-based decisions and informing decisions with data. We could do a lot better in terms of getting better and more complete data to inform our decision-making. Some other news, hopefully this doesn't come as a surprise to most of you, because we've talked about this in the last couple town halls, but for those of you who are newish or who didn't see the data from before, fantastic news from a financial perspective is that our school funding has increased steadily over the last 5 years. I refer you to all the way over on the right-hand side, these total numbers. You can see really good. So we bring in a ton of money for grants. So grant money has been increasing, but at the same time, the revenue that we bring in from tuition and fees has also been increasing. And those two have been the primary drivers of this big increase in total amount of money coming into this school over the last 5 years. So you may ask, why are tuition dollars increasing? Because we try to not raise our tuition dollars too much, like the tuition that an individual student pays, too much each year. The reason that we see large increases in those revenue is because the number of student credit hours that we teach as a school has increased dramatically over the last 7 years. And you see this in particular is a function of our increase in undergraduate teaching, which are the blue bars here. So looking at number of student credit hours as a function of time. And you can see that the graduate student credit hours in orange has stayed pretty constant, and our fee-based student credit hours have stayed, in gray, have stayed pretty constant, but blue has increased dramatically. And that really has contributed substantially to our financial stability as a school, and is a result of great decision-making by people way before my time to invest in undergraduate programs. And I also wanted to give a shout out in terms of our research portfolio. As you saw, our grants and contracts money have increased substantially over the last couple of years, but it was strong to begin with. So we're one of the top ranked schools of public health in the country and one of the top research getters in terms of schools of public health. But we're also ranked consistently either number 2 or number 3 out of the 16 schools at the University of Washington in terms of the amount of extramural funding that we bring in. So after School of Medicine, we're either the next one or the one after that. So 2019, we happen to be number 2. So that's huge. We are a research powerhouse amongst schools of public health and amongst schools in our institution. Some faculty stats. We have 151 core faculty who are primary in the School of Public Health. So these are folks who their primary appointment is in the School of Public Health, who are 100% of the time here across what we call regular. So that's our tenure track and WOTRF tracks, our research track and the teaching tracks. In addition to that, we have 98 faculty who have primary appointments in other units or institutions who are joint with our school. We have 211 adjunct faculty who are courtesy appointments, faculty who have primary appointments in other units on campus who are courtesy appointments with us. And we have 604 clinical and affiliate faculty. From a student perspective, who does our teaching? So of those core faculty, 100 of them teach 1 or more classes in the School of Public Health each year. And those core faculty teach about 2/3 of the total courses and student credit hours that are taught in the School of Public Health. The remaining 1/3 of the classes and student credit hours that we offer are taught by over 100 different faculty from closely allied disciplines and our practice partners, which is a huge strength for us and a great way for our students to get real world perspectives and training. Some key accomplishments that I want to give a shout out to. We just wrapped up our last round of strategic planning, which was from 2012 to 2020. And one of the key components of that was the identification of emergency priority areas and the desire to make faculty hires, strategic faculty hires in each of those areas. And we were successful in hiring faculty in 5 of those emerging priority areas, which if you look at them now, you'd be like, yeah, of course, we're known for that. But those are things that were identified from our last round of strategic planning. And the reason that we have those fantastic faculty here today is because of strategic investments in those areas. So we also, many thanks to a huge, great committee of faculty, staff, students, stakeholders, alumni, just completed the 2020-2025 SPH Strategic Plan. Huge shout out to Jared Baton, our Vice Dean for Strategy, Faculty Affairs, and New Initiatives, who headed up this effort. and to Pyramid Communications, which is the consultancy group that we hired, who really got us and got our style of consultative governance. And so if you haven't done so already, please do check out the strategic plan online. I also give you the link here to a webinar back in the early summer that launched the strategic plan. It's a really great plan that to me really encapsulates what we're all about and the ethos of our school, with our desire to have impact, public health impact, at the core of all that we do. It lays out 3 areas that are really strategic priorities for us. In the area of education, training people who will go on to be leaders and who will transform the field of public health. Not just research, but that we are really deeply committed to developing basic methods that inform the way that we conduct our research, and that informs practice in the public health community. And so we're invested in that whole continuum. And then our recent emphasis really on collective culture of meaningful change, both within our own organization and in the broader community. Those are have wrapped around them 2 really core initiatives that we're focusing on. One, which you'll hear more about, on equity, justice, and anti-racism, and the other to really rethink our the way that we achieve visibility for the work, the incredible work that goes on in the school, and enhance our reputation. And all of those are embedded in this desire to have, to partner for healthy communities in our region and around the world. So I thought I'd just share with you, please do go and check out all the details. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on it, but I love the planning North Star that this group created, and the statement that to me really encapsulates who we are. The UW School of Public Health tackles the greatest health challenges in our region and around the world. Our groundbreaking discoveries are fueled by rigorous science and equity-driven solutions. And our students are leaders who emerge prepared to work in partnership with communities to improve the health of all people. So again, huge thanks to all of you who participated in developing that plan and who are working on implementing it. I also wanted to give a shout out to our amazing EDI steering committee for the school and the EDI steering committees for our departments. We launched our EDI Action Plan in 2019. Again, if you haven't checked it out, please do. We had this great ensemble of very concrete, specific actions and who's responsible for implementing them, achieving them, and by when. And we are working on developing a dashboard that will include both our progress on these metrics and our progress on the strategic planning metrics as well. So keep your eyes peeled for those in the coming months. Some additional important new EDI initiatives and advances that I wanted all of you to be aware of. The first is that in fall of 2019, we launched a new specific to us sexual misconduct prevention training that really is very innovative and evidence-based. We have an amazing student who's been the primary driver for that, Erin Dwyer. So huge kudos to her. She's awesome. And she and Victoria have done 9 trainings to date. They've trained over 175 students and 155 faculty and staff. So if you get an opportunity to sign up for it this year, we strongly encourage you to do that. It's really fabulous training. In addition, we completed both qualitative and quantitative climate studies during the last academic year. These are really important in terms of informing the way that we are promoting change within our organization. And I wanted specifically to give a shout out to Claire and other members of the global health team that did the work on the qualitative study. It's just really phenomenal. And then finally, for those of you who have not heard yet, we got a petition last spring, over 300 students, staff, and faculty saying, hey, we have this anti-racism competency, but we do not have anti-racism training required for anyone other than students, and that doesn't seem consistent with our values. And so in response to that, we have, I agreed, you are right, and we will have universal anti-racism training. The SPH EDI committee engaged with a bunch of volunteers from across the school over the summer, developed some great learning objectives and recommendations for what the training is going to look like. And the first of those trainings will roll out later this fall. So please keep your eyes peeled for that. It's really, really exciting. In terms of other statistics that came out of the self-study, one that I am proud of is that the percentage of URM students in our programs started off higher than that of the Seattle campus as a whole in 2016 and has steadily grown more than the rest of campus. So that is a huge accomplishment for us. But I do want to emphasize that there is still great room for improvement here, not just in terms of us diversifying our students so they better reflect the communities we serve, but also in diversifying both our faculty and staff. And that's shown here. I'm not going to go into details of this other than to let you know that this is looking at race and ethnicity across different groups. So faculty in orange, students in gray, staff in yellow, and the Seattle population as a reference, although they're not our entire catchment basin, but one example of a community that we serve in blue. So you can see we still have some work to do here, and hopefully our EDI Action Plan and the strategic plan are giving us some really good concrete steps for getting there. So what comes next? We just submitted last week the final version of our self-study, and we have our site visit scheduled. That's going to be conducted by Zoom on October 28th to 30th. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be holding prep meetings with small groups that will be participating in different parts of the site visit. I wanted to give everyone a heads up that it is very common, in fact, happens all the time, that site visit teams, when they are doing the site visit, so they won't physically be here, but when they're doing the site visit, that they will ask for additional data and information. And that can be really specific stuff like, hey, how did this get assessed in this class? Can I see an example of that? So I just wanted to give all of you a heads up. Please be prepared to respond to requests from the site visit team during that period of October 28th to 30th, and be aware that we're not going to have a huge amount of heads up about it, and so we're going to need a fast turnaround, and we thank you in advance for that. The site visit team will then give us their report, which will include areas where they think we need to make some improvements or changes, and then we need to generate our response to the site visit report. So what do we think the site visit team is going to be looking for? So we got some great tips from some of our partner schools and ASPPH who had just gone through this process about what they heard from their site visit team. We're pretty sure they're going to ask us about concerns or gaps in the self-study document and tables, and so we have some of those highlighted. And if you're in the group, some of those small groups that are meeting with the site visit team about specific topics, we'll be sharing with you what we think they're likely going to ask us about. They are pretty likely to focus on degree competencies. And don't be too surprised if they focus a lot on the MPH, because they really care about the MPH, but they care about all degrees. So you'll see we have time set aside for different degree categories. They're going to probe for solutions or ways that we're addressing gaps and weaknesses. Our goal here is not to try and cover up the gaps or weaknesses. Our goal is to own them, identify them, and talk about how we're going to be addressing them. They're going to be looking for a unified voice or similar narrative across faculty and staff. And I guess just some additional sort of like points, the online site visit is basically identical to what an in-person meeting would be, except for it's by Zoom. And if they give us very specific topics, themes, questions that they want us to address. And so there's not a huge amount of room for flexibility. They even dictate how many people can be in the room for different meetings. Don't be offended if you weren't included in one of those meetings, but if you are, we really appreciate your time and energy. Again, just to summarize some pride points, we are so excited about the re-envisioned MPH Core. Welcome our new inaugural MPH Core cohort, and thank the instructors who've been working so hard on that. Big pride points, we offer a wide range of really high quality degree programs at the undergraduate, master's, and doctoral levels. We do a great job of graduating a high percentage of students who enter into our programs, and a high percentage of our students from those programs are employed 1 year after graduation. Additional pride points, in 2019-2020, our public health, global health major accepted a record 300 students, 46% of which were first generation college students. We were the first school of public health to adopt an anti-racism competency, and our funding has grown substantially over the 5 years, driven mainly by increased enrollment and student credit hours, particularly in our undergrad programs, and increased grants and contracts. Some opportunities for improvement. We have some big gains to be made in terms of systematic collection of data and making those data available to stakeholders across the school. So you'll see me messaging a lot about this in the coming months and the coming year. And most importantly, we want to use those data to inform our decision making. So we're really having concrete discussions about how to best do that. And again, you'll see lots of conversations about that in the coming year. We have some real good work to do on systematic implementation of our anti-racism competency and really employing principles of anti-racism in our school and our work. And so you're going to see a lot of commitment to that this year and ongoing in the future. We heard from surveys of students that we need to do some work on providing more consistent student advising and career prep across all our different programs. So we will be working on that. And expect that we will get some additional areas of improvement that Steve specifically wants us to work on as a result of the site visit. So with that, I'm going to exit out of here. Oops, let's stop sharing my screen if I can. Maybe not. All right. And we're going to turn over to, wow, Q&A. We only have one question. Okay, so our one question that we got, thank you, Jim, who like always asks us great questions, is for Shirley. Shirley, Jim would like to know if it is possible to obtain more granular data on his undergraduate career question. Oh, maybe it's something that you answered while people were, I see there's some things that people answered while I was talking. Got it. We'll come back to this.
Sorry, I broke protocol in error, but basically there are others that would be much more qualified than I to actually provide the data. In my answer, I tried to suggest that those that run those programs could provide numbers and percents, i.e. the granular data. What I did was just excerpted a sentence from the PHGH most recent annual report. But, you know, if others are, and maybe Kimberly has, I can see Kimberly has a book open, so maybe Kimberly would like to answer the question.
Well, so let me do this. Let me ask that Jim send an email. Jim, you can email any one of us and we will try and dig up those data for you. But more broadly, will the self-study be available to people in our community online? Is that something that happens? Shirley, Kimberly, I can't hear you.
The self-study is typically posted online. There is a published copy that the school does have to make available.
Okay, so
it's posted now on the website. I was just looking for it to include in the link in here. Or maybe Jeff can do that. In answer to the question about the data, we do have some of these data. They are tracked by us as per CEPH's request. And if you go to said 500-page report, it is in section B3. Criterion B is all about these kinds of data. That's where Hilary was talking about graduation rates and everything. All of those pieces are included in that section of the report.
Kimberly, if you have access to the link online, can you put it in the chat for us?
Yeah, I'm on like three different
things. Okay, someone will try doing it. If not, we'll make sure we post it in the key takeaways that we post with the webinar.
Yes.
Okay, Chuck, thank you. Our store of institutional knowledge and all things great. Points out that we also get through the ASPPH membership access to federal funds that are only available to accredited schools of public health. Very nice. And he also pointed out that CEPH was created through partnerships and funding by ASPPH with APHA. Good point. Let's see, I got a really nice shout out from India to all the PHI instructors for our new Common Core. They are awesome. It's such a great program. We're so proud of it. We're so proud of all of you. I know this has been a huge heavy lift to not only get all of this ready, but to bring it online at the last minute. So huge thanks for that. Katie kindly reminds me to encourage our students to vote and register to vote. And so we did send out an email because last week was National Voter Registration Day, but yes, please do, students. And let's see, do we have any other questions or updates? Anybody from our panel? Carrie, you look like you might want to say something.
No, I'm just appreciating the tremendous effort everyone has put into it.
I know, they're great. They really
and all
are.
the faculty, I think, and staff. This is a really heavy lift, and can't thank people enough for.
Yeah, really, you guys are awesome for doing the work and then also bringing everything together for the report. You didn't see in all the stuff that I presented the bazillions, over 100, aka bazillions of data tables. But those data tables, some of them are like, you know, explaining how in every single one of our many degree programs, how different competencies are met and assessed. And we thank all of you who are instructors in all of those different programs who participated in getting those data to Shirley and Kimberly and being cheerful and responsive when we said, well, that's not exactly what CEPH was looking for. So we appreciate people being responsive and flexible. It's really been a huge collective lift, and we really appreciate all of you guys. Looks like we have a couple things in the chat. Oh, good. Jeff put the link to the report in there. Shirley, you look like you wanted to say one last thing.
Yes, I'm looking at the time, so it's really quick. Just to second what you said, and really appreciate the number of people involved. It feels like to me, you know, having been a member of the faculty of the school for decades, that this time there's been a huge engagement from all of the students, staff, and faculty to a level that we haven't seen in the past. And so, again, thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing that engagement in the prep meetings and in the site visit itself. So many thanks, everybody. It's really appreciated.
So with that, we will conclude. Thank you all. Please, stay positive. We know it's going to be a hectic couple of weeks. Keep your eyes peeled for we're going to be having wellness check-ins and different venues of support for everybody. If you need assistance with anything, if you just need someone to listen to it's a crazy year, let us know and be well. Thank you.
Thank you.